You know, these tomato plants look really great. The ones that have been in the Dutch bucket system for a large number of weeks are really vigorous. They're green. The Gardener's Delight cherry tomatoes have a lot of trusses on them with unripe tomatoes. Hopefully they're going to ripen up pretty soon. The Pisano, that's a Roma style paste tomato, are looking really good. We've had some drop due to blossom end rot. I have to diagnose exactly what's going on with the calcium in the system, but I'm relatively certain that can be fixed. Now these smaller plants aren't quite as green, and that's because they've only been in the system for about a week. It's time to change the water in the system. I'm going to carry it out in buckets and drop it on the straw bales that are outside with tomatoes. They can use the water, and they'll also be able to use the extra nutrients. Well, now that I have this reservoir all cleaned out, I use some rags to wipe it all down. It's not absolutely perfectly clean, but I don't really want to spend the water to get this perfect. I'm going to go ahead and slide the reservoir back in place. There's just enough room here to get it in by tipping it so it goes underneath the outflow from the Dutch bucket system. Pick up my air stone tube and put the bucket more or less in place. I need to make sure that the top is going to fit around the outflow. Now what's important about this top, I have a cutout right here that goes around the outflow tube. I'll just get this positioned. There we go. That looks good now. I'll take this off. Now the reason why this top is important is because it cuts down on the evaporation. We live in the high desert of northern Arizona, and water is at a premium. Right now we're waiting again for the water truck to come with our delivery. They've been having problems because they've had 2 trucks break down. The third water service in downtown is broken again. So we don't have a lot of choices. Today I'll be getting the water trailer on the road and picking up 300-400 gallons of water to make sure that our plants stay alive. Now I'm going to use this 5-gallon water container to measure the water going into the reservoir. I'm going to remark the reservoir for height with a specific number of gallons. I've already used this hose this morning to do some watering, so the old water's been flushed out of the hose. I'm still going to pay attention to the temperature in the reservoir because the hose is black, the sun's up, it's hot, and I don't want to be having the water be too hot in this reservoir. Now that's 5 gallons right there. Now there's 2 ways for me to recalibrate this reservoir. One is just put this 5 gallons in and mark where that is, measure the depth, and then calculate the total number of gallons that the reservoir will hold when I've filled it up to the level that I want. The other is to continue filling this up, 5 gallons at a time, and putting into the reservoir. I think that's what I'm going to do today. Hey, Irene. Well, as you can tell, the wind's come up again. It's kind of been our perennial pain in the neck. All right, I've recalibrated this reservoir to the number of gallons. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the hydroponic nutrient, 450 milliliters for this size tote. I have one more dose of this pre-mixed nutrient. Then I'm going to go ahead and switch to the same kind of blend that CB at CB's Greenhouse and Garden uses. I'll put a link to his channel and that nutrient solution right over here. Hook up my air stone, carefully put it back in the reservoir. These stones sometimes get pretty fragile and they'll break if you just drop them. Put my pump back in and make sure I haven't kinked the hose. And turn everything back on. I'll double check my nutrient pump by plugging it directly into the outlet strip. And I'll let that run for a few minutes. Replacing the nutrients in the Dutch bucket system is pretty straightforward. All I need to do is, there goes the pump. All I need to do is drain the old fluid out, wipe it out, put the new nutrient in once it's been all mixed up, and then run the pump. I'm going to let the pump run for probably 15 minutes, and then I'll put it back on the timer. Well, thanks very much for coming along on this little journey. Tomatoes in here are looking great. I'm going to go ahead and do a foliar spray for some calcium just to make sure that we don't have any more blossom end rot or any more flower drop due to calcium deficiency. This is a really cool system. This is the second year that we've used a full-on Dutch bucket system. I've done aquaponics for a good long while, probably, I think I started in 1980 or 1981, so about 40 years. Off and on I've used it, I've not used it, and because of the harsh growing conditions we have here, the bugs, the temperature, the wind, I decided to use the Dutch buckets real recently, just last year. This is awesome. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so that you know when we publish something new. Talk with you later. Bye.